Hello everyone, my name is YY, running the developer concierge at Jupiter. Today, I'm going to cover a lot of ground. What we have observed across the last year, where our APIs are heading, and how we are refreshing them. And something we've been building that changes how you build with Jupiter entirely. Anmol is going to join me for the last part. This is the biggest update we've shipped for developers. We don't want to decide what the next great crypto apps are. We released Jupiter APIs so that whatever they are or whoever they might be, Jupiter is already the backbone behind them. The easiest way to see this is to look at how much of Solana DeFi already runs through Jupiter. Jupiter is much bigger than just our own interface. From the support of countless integrations, a pattern starts to emerge. A growing number of projects building with Jupiter, and interestingly, we are seeing waves of teams that are not Solana native, like centralized exchanges, projects from EVM, real established businesses from traditional finance, integrating with Jupiter to tap into Solana's growing markets and liquidity. And we are the backbone. This speaks for itself. Last year, 1,500 projects paid for higher rate limits. That is 1,500 teams building something real with Jupiter. They have made over 100 billion requests, and of all time, they have generated more than $750 million in fees through our APIs. These numbers don't even include our free and impactful Lite API, which is used at a massive scale. The actual footprint is much larger than what's on this slide. This is what it means to be the backbone of Solana DeFi, the backbone of real users, real transactions, and real businesses. When we look closer at the data, nearly all of that usage collapses into 3 core liquidity APIs. To be clear, Jupiter is so much more than these 3 APIs. We have land, limit order, DCA, and much more developer resources. But when we looked at what teams actually build on, it comes back to these 3 APIs, the building blocks of every on-chain businesses. Token defines what you're interacting with, price defines how you reason about it, and swap, where those decisions turn into executions. We didn't arrive at this by planning. We arrived here by experimenting and watching how teams actually build. When usage concentrates this clearly, we as a platform has a responsibility to focus and harden. We are doing a full refresh of these 3 core liquidity APIs: swap, token, and price. The vision is the same since we started, offering the most simple and most accessible set of APIs that helps you build real on-chain businesses. Let me start with swap. Ultra and Metis were not experiments. They carried out real volume, real apps, and real responsibility. But they serve very different needs. Metis is a routing primitive. Ultra is an execution engine. Over the past year, we've been listening and watching how teams actually use these APIs. Having 2 different APIs feels like a binary choice. It made it feel like a compromise, like a trade-off. And this introduces unnecessary complexity. From this point onward, there will no longer be an Ultra or Metis decision to be made. Introducing the Unified Swap API. It provides the best of both worlds, a routing primitive, execution engine, and all features you need for swaps. One endpoint, one mental model for all types of use cases. This means you build what you actually set out to build, and let us handle the rest. We'll share more about this very soon. Moving on to token and price. Token and price come from a very, very different place. We started with the ecosystem token list, a source of truth for the community, and it has evolved many, many times over the years. But the vision has never changed. Token and price are the backbone of discovery. What exists on Solana and what it's worth. Here's why it matters. The data you receive today from these endpoints is what powers our very own Jupyter interfaces, web, mobile, and so much more. We index and support millions of tokens and swap transactions, which powers millions of API requests every single day in production. We don't ship what we don't use. Our foundation is your foundation to build real on-chain businesses. And with that, we are bringing Token V2 and Price V3 APIs out of beta and treating them as first-class APIs alongside Swap. Not because they are finally ready, but because the ecosystem deserves the same foundation we built on, the same vision we set out years ago. 3 core liquidity APIs, all refreshed, all production ready. Everything you've seen so far is about one thing: empowering and enabling businesses to build on Solana DeFi. But building is only the first half of the story. What happens after you ship? Well, I have no idea. That's Anmol's problem.
So, what happens after you ship? Reality hits. Real users show up, and suddenly all questions change. It's no longer about if the app works. It's about what is actually happening. You have real volume, real consequences, and no visibility. Flying blind after launch is kind of the norm in crypto. This did not start as a product decision. They showed up in discussions with teams building real products, real apps, doing real volume, asking the same questions over and over and over again. What's happening with my requests? What's happening with my APIs? What's happening? We don't know what basically, we had no real visibility in our apps when something changed in the backend for the APIs. The missing piece. Once you're in production, you need a place to understand what's going on behind the scenes. But this isn't something we should be able to convince you to use. This is something you'll end up needing anyway. Stripe defined what building on payments should feel like. Vercel defined what deploying frontend should feel like. But DeFi has never had that until now. Introducing the developer platform. Everything you need to build all under one roof. When we say one roof, we don't just mean the APIs. We say logs, docs, metrics, and so much more. All unified under dev.jub.ag, one domain. Caring about all this is what makes the difference between a real on-chain business versus a hackathon project. This is the future. Not to boast, but we are most probably the highest used APIs in crypto. With such great power comes great responsibility. If this many teams use Jupyter, we have to set the standard of what DeFi as a service looks like. Less guessing, more building. This is the bar. But one more thing. The current pricing model is simple, way too simple in my opinion. It does not actually reflect how teams actually use Jupyter APIs. One rate limit per tier across all of the APIs. It's kind of like an umbrella solution. So here is where we are headed. A pay-as-you-go model with a base fee per tier, with each API having its own consumption costs. You only pay for what you use. But this isn't final. This is a proposal that we are presenting to the people that build on us, and we want feedback from you. Talk to us. Tell us what you feel, what works, what doesn't, and what you're thinking. To conclude, everything Vaibhai and I talked about here today, from refreshed APIs to unified swap API to pricing models and the developer platform, it's all in service of this. Building on Jupyter should feel predictable, understandable, and boring in the best way possible. Build with confidence with Jupyter APIs, the backbone of Solana DeFi. Thank you.